Hello, I'm Nola and welcome to my channel. I received this message the early hours of this morning. It's a channeled message and Spirit made it very clear that it needed to be shared. Right off the bat, I must tell you that this is not a message of fear, but a message of awareness, clarity, and preparation. We all know that there are major happenings in the Middle East. This is not news. One needs not be psychic to know this. This is known throughout the world. And Spirit showed me Cairo, Egypt, and possibly Iran. A global ripple will come from there and cause even more stress and rumors and ripples of war than any one of us could possibly imagine that things could get any worse there. I also was shown a very strong impression that charges for crimes against humanity are allegedly going to be brought against Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, and possibly a couple of others. This is connected to the humanitarian crisis that continues to unfold in the Middle East. And of course, I'm speaking of the people of, it's so heartbreaking what is happening there, and it almost seems as though the world is not paying enough attention, and also I feel something about the Syrian people. I've also heard, and I've received, and I know I've given similar messages before, about the Palestinian people and the suffering. My goodness. I don't know what else we can possibly do. The other warnings that have continued to come up are warnings about disruptions in travel, disruptions in communication, airplane crashes, sadly, power outages, and therefore internet failures. And so I'm going to suggest that you consider backing up all of your files on your computers and so on. And then something else to do with a rocket in space that is going to explode. And this has got something to do with Elon Musk, and I don't know if this is going to spell the end of his life, or perhaps the end of his life as he has known it, as one of the wealthiest men, supposedly and allegedly one of the wealthiest men on the face of the earth. Also, there will be more alleged accusations and information of financial crimes that he has committed. Major financial crimes will be exposed. Okay, and then in the United States, Trump is removing security protection from former and even from some current government officials. This will put people at risk. This is common sense. Okay, puts people at risks, puts people's lives at risks, and Spirit says that this will lead to targeted killings, and that someone will be murdered or assassinated. Protests began quietly in January, but they will escalate. People are growing impatient. They feel that the government or those in power are not doing enough or acting fast enough, because people are dying. People are losing their businesses, they're losing their farms, they're losing their livelihoods, they're losing their jobs, and there's no rational explanation for any of this. So people will start to take matters into their own hands. What Spirit showed me is a form of vigilantism, where by citizens organizing like shadow neighborhood watches. You know, many of us in America have neighborhood watches, and people will walk through the neighborhoods and see, you know, what is going on, if there's any activity that seems nefarious. Okay, so these groups are going to be forming, and they're going to carry out justice in a way that they see fit. And this is a very, very sad state of affairs. You know, the eclipse of the moon yesterday was Saturday the 29th of March, and it happened in the sign of Aries. It also opened a massive portal. So April will be volatile. Aries is a fiery sign. It's highly energetic. It is impulsive. Also, I'm not an astrologer. I know a little bit about astrology. I know of some very good astrologers. Unfortunately, a fantastic astrologer that I had a very close relationship has since made her transition, and I don't have access to her anymore. But there are wonderful people like Pam Gregory. I do not know any of these people that I'm speaking of personally. I know that Pam Gregory is one of them, and there are a couple of others. So I was saying that the eclipse yesterday on March the 29th was in the sign of Aries. And so April is going to be volatile. And Spirit gave me these dates: April the 3rd, April the 4th, April the 5th, and April the 12th. So just be aware. A new wave of protests will arise, not just in the USA, but globally. The wealthy will be boycotted, their goods rejected. The people are fed up. There will be shortages of food, gasoline, and electricity. And Spirit says that you must prepare. And I say to you, please listen, as there will be difficult days ahead. Even here in Europe, we have been told to keep at least some supplies handy to see you through for at least 72 hours. That means fuel, water, non-perishable food, medications, prescriptions for your medications, and travel documents in waterproof containers. And in that should be water also, okay? And this is not a time, excuse me, of itchiness. This is not a time for fear, but a time for inner wisdom and preparedness. Again, I have spoken with our ancestors, and I have called on the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Malcolm X and others showed up again, and what I feel is grief. The sense that people are no longer willing to wait on leadership. They are going to start acting on their own. And I must also caution you about the overconsumption of news. It will drain your soul. The real answers, they're not on television, my darlings. They are within you. I was also shown that a leader will pass away soon somewhere in Europe. It will be from natural causes, but it will be significant. And no, this is not King Charles. In fact, I saw King Charles' health improving despite what many may think, he is well loved, and it is that love that will help to heal him and make him stronger. Also, a major event is coming out of one of the Asian nations, and I believe it is South Korea. And it is more than likely linked to the United States of America and the military presence there. It will be shocking. Now, I've said before in previous videos and recordings that I've done that stuff is going to happen so fast it will literally make our heads spin. I also saw images of Black Hawk helicopters and a crash, and something that was hidden will come into the light. Something is going to be revealed. In fact, there will be many revelations, not just for the remainder of this month, which tomorrow is the 31st, and April, but into May and through the summer. We are in for some very difficult times and some very trying times. But many people will remain quiet or silent until this crisis touches them. But Spirit says, and so did my late mom say, when you dig a hole for someone else, be careful. Be very careful, because you may fall into it yourself. So be mindful of how you treat other people. We are all human beings trying to get the same things: safe places for our families to live, food for our children to eat. We want to live in peace and harmony. And they are doing wonders by pitting us against each other, by color or religion or race or wherever you hail from. And so just be mindful of that. At the end of the day, we all have the same blood that courses through our veins. No matter what you are and who you are, you have been created in the image of God. Whatever you choose to call the mighty being, that almighty being that has created each and every one of us. So whether you are Muslim, Hindu, Christian, no matter what your affiliations are, whether you be black, white, gray, I don't care really. You know, God is love and love is God. And if you have love, you have God. If you have no love for your fellow man, then you are godless. You are without a conscience. So treat people well. Whether you are gay or you're straight, if your religion tells you not to be gay, then don't be gay. If your religion tells you not to be lesbian, then please don't be lesbian. If it tells you not to drink or smoke, do not do those things. But don't try to force your beliefs onto anyone else. Just respect it. That's all we need to do. We simply need to respect. And I believe that the world will be all the better for it. I didn't mean to go off on that tangent, but in any case, the United States is trying to source food from Europe. And I had to laugh because eggs from the Netherlands. But the energy is off. Europe remembers how it's been treated very lately. Europe has heard the disparagements and how this current administration in the White House is trying to divide people. And they're not falling for it. I was also shown a new upper respiratory illness. It's not COVID, but similar. I see people masked again and worried again. So mask up if it helps you to feel better. If you have a compromised immune system, maybe you are having therapies for perhaps cancer or some other illnesses, take extra precautions. Wash your hands. Wash your hands, please. And if you suffer from asthma, then I suggest that you also consider wearing a mask. You know, we are responsible for ourselves, and so sometimes we have to use common sense. We don't need Spirit to tell us this. We should just know these things. And if we continue with America, what Spirit says, there are things happening in the shadows, behind closed doors, that have not yet been revealed, but they will be. And I'm impatient because I keep saying, when are people going to get some relief? When is this madness going to end? I know you feel the same way that I do. You are human too. I'm human. I have questions. I question everything. Do you know how difficult it is for me to come on here and deliver these messages? They are difficult messages. But behind the closed doors, things that have not been revealed will be. And it's not the nonsense about the Epstein man and other stuff, fluff that they're trying to distract you with. And the shift will be fast, faster than anyone expects. And while some believe that America is finished, I do not. That's not what I was shown. However, what I was shown, that America, we are at a reckoning point. But we have free will. We have choice. We have energy. We have minds to think. We can ask questions. However, after all of this goes down, it will be a while before America finds her footing and turns her situation around. It's going to be a while. This will not happen overnight, sadly. Now, America, we are experiencing the consequences of decades of injustice. And Spirit says, this is not punishment. This is cause and effect. But once we get through this fire, what comes next will be better. And it is going to be a fire in literal sense and in a spiritual way. And who will replace Trump? Because I asked this, and the answer has not yet been revealed. Everything is evolving on a daily basis. There are things we know nothing about, but Spirit knows. And some of the powers that be also know for sure. For sure. But leaders like AOC and Bernie Sanders, Jasmine Crockett, they are helping people by asking better questions. And some are now waking up, not the woke system, that's not what I'm talking about. Most people went on and on about being woke and they had no idea what it even meant. But people are waking up. Those that had the wool pulled over their eyes, they are beginning to ask questions and are regretting some of the choices that they made. But that's another topic. That's not what Spirit sent me here to deliver today. So change is not just coming to America. Australia and New Zealand will experience some of their own political shifts too, along with natural weather incidents. So here's what's important. Europe, the UK, the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand will form the stronger alliances with Europe and with each other. And this will more than likely include China. Okay? And this will reduce Trump's foreign policy influence long term. Other nations are beginning to step forward. And NATO, that situation is yet to be resolved. We don't know. And peace will not come easily to the Ukraine. So this leaves Europe on edge. So prepare yourselves. And there's only so much preparation that you can do. You have to live your life every day, but be aware. And more than that, be aware of what is going on within you. And Spirit showed me again, Dr. King. His presence keeps returning. And I realized it's not just about one leader anymore. It is about all of us. If we want to change, we must each become the man in the mirror or the woman in the mirror. And we must hold ourselves accountable each and every one of us, for our thoughts, for buried hatred in our hearts, for the dislike of people that don't look like us, that don't walk like us, talk like us, and believe like us. When did God die and leave you in charge? It's one of my favorite questions to ask. And Spirit says, war is not the answer, but man, we don't listen because the 1% that own all the money, weapons, as long as they are selling weapons, there will always be war and there's money to be made from them. But peace will be led by the youth. Spirit says war is not the answer, but peace will be led by the youth. The extreme form of capitalism in the United States is not sustainable. I'm not saying this. This is what Spirit told me. When less than 1% of the people control all of the wealth, the people will rise, and they are rising. Spirit says this will echo like something like the French Revolution, but not just overnight. This won't happen overnight, but inevitably, this is the way that it's going to be. And this new world will not look like the old one. Capitalism will evolve, but will not look like what it looks like today. And Spirit reminded me that timelines are constantly shifting. What I see today may not come to pass exactly as shown, because we all have free will along with our governments. But the earth is groaning. The storms are growing. The change is already here. And Spirit says the people must rise, not in violence, but in clarity. Now is the time to step up, not someday, not eventually, but right now. Please know that these messages are for entertainment purposes only. If you found this helpful or enlightening to you in some way, would you consider sharing, liking, and subscribing? It's free to do so, and it may help someone else. It will also absolutely help me and my channel, because I do believe that I've been called to this, and it's not anything that I take lightly. It's been very difficult for me to come and sit before a camera and channel messages. I am really a grounded person. I'm a double Capricorn, for those of you that understand astrology, with my moon in Taurus. So I'm really very practical, and I've tried to avoid this all of my life, but finally in my 60s I've had to step into this and set my ego aside. So please talk to me, share your thoughts, your concerns. Let's work it out as a community. And for my new subscribers, thank you. I am so moved. I really am. And when I started this channel, I said, even if it only helped one person, that would be enough for me. I know I've been called to this. I've been called since I was a very, very little girl. I've backed away because of fear, of ego, of concerns about my family, and also of embarrassing myself and being criticized. But before I go, let me just say this to you. Trust your inner voice. Trust your intuition, for it is the voice of God, the Creator. It's within you. It's not out there, within you. If you're worshiping or praying to any source outside of yourself, it's wrong. We are all parts of God. He or she resides in each and every one of us. And once again, please remember to be kind. Kindness really matters. People are dealing with stuff. that we know nothing about. So be kind. And until the next time, do take care of yourself, and bye for now.